Welcome back. The Democratic Nursing Organization of South Africa in Gauteng says it feels vindicated about the unfair precautionary suspension of a nurse at Mamelodi Hospital who, after 60 days, has not been charged. The union says there was never a single charge that was going to stick, as it believes that the nurse was not part of that incident. Now, the nurse was suspended after a video of an elderly woman who was seen tied to a hospital steel bench made the rounds on social media a few months ago. Today, the 60 days grace period has lapsed, and it's not clear if the nurse is returning to work or not. For clarity on the story, joined now in studio by Simphiwe Gada, who is DENOSA's Gauteng Chairperson. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
You challenged the suspension of the nurse at the Mamelodi Hospital, and you were pretty confident. I remember our last conversation that it couldn't possibly be any of your nurses who would mistreat an elderly patient, a patient of any nature, in that manner. And 60 days has lapsed. You haven't heard any feedback. What is the latest information that you have?
Well, thank you. I think first let's appreciate Newsroom Africa for following this story up until now, because other media houses had a lot of energy to report on this story. Now they are failing to report on it when we're about to conclude it. So they were happy to just throw stones at nurses. And now they are not following the story because the nurse is now not in the wrong. So we appreciate that you are a balanced media house. We must say that on record as an organization. Look, when the nurse was suspended, they said they had prima facie evidence that led them to suspend the nurse. And we challenged that the suspension was first pronounced in the media before it was actually effected, meaning that when we had to make representations as an organization on behalf of the nurse, they were not going to be considered because the department, the minister and the MEC had bowed to the media pressure or political pressure that was there. And they made pronouncements on the media. And for tactical reasons, we chose not to challenge the suspension, because you must choose your battles wisely. We saw that let's not challenge it because our member anyway will be, will not lose any benefit. So I was on suspension for 60 days, being paid for just, going around the country, being on holiday and paid for by the department. So we thought that let's not challenge it, and we didn't. We allowed the department to do what they said they were doing, which was the investigation. They served the letter on the 2nd of June, suspending the member. Today it is the 6th, so 60 days has lapsed. In terms of the resolution, it says that the employer may precautionary suspend or transfer an employee as it deems fit, pending an investigation which must be completed. The investigation, including the disciplinary inquiry, must be completed within a month or 60 days. Now, what they are trying to argue is that there were holidays and all those things, and we know what is the interpretation. If there were holidays, that should have been excluded in the resolution. The resolution was going to be clear to say 60 days excluding holidays, excluding weekends and all those things. So English is a very simple language. It says within 60 days, and 60 days has lapsed. And in fact, it says that within a month or 60 days. So if they had this prima facie evidence and everything was as clear as they claimed, why could they not proceed and utilize the prima facie evidence to quickly conclude the investigation and then charge the member if there are reasons to charge the member? So our member has not been charged. And as a union, we have taken back our member to work at Mamelodi. So they are trying to come up with technicalities, but we'll deal with those technicalities. But the point of the matter that we're trying to raise there is that when things go wrong, people are very quick to go to the media and condemn nurses. And this is not assisting the nursing profession, because we know that the nursing profession is already at loggerheads with the community. So we feel vindicated that we have been saying that there's nothing that implicates our member. And today it shows that there's nothing, because if there was something, it can't surely take more than 60 days to charge. And if they proceed because of us exposing them, then it will clearly show that now the target is the nurse. They are not being impartial. They would be, prejudicing our member.
You speak about the technicalities that, these are technicalities that you'll easily deal with. During this process, have you had any communication with the department, perhaps maybe on day 50, just to assure you that they're working on this and they'll bring about a resolution?
Well, our attitude, because we have always had a long-held view that says that the government in general and the Department of Health in particular always utilizes this resolution as a punitive measure as opposed to it being a precautionary measure. Because it says you precautionary suspend the employee so that the investigation is not compromised. And if you have reasons to believe that the presence of that employee in their workplace will compromise the investigation. Now, what they do, they always are very quick to suspend or precautionary suspend employees of lower levels. So they use it as a punitive measure as opposed to using it as a precautionary measure. That's the point that we've been saying, that this resolution is being abused. When a junior employee is alleged to have committed a misconduct, they quickly run and, precautionary suspend or transfer that junior employee. And I must tell you, this is wasteful expenditure, because if we're to do an audit of how many employees are either sitting at home or in different facilities, getting fully paid, but not rendering the services. Because, for instance, if you've got a staff establishment in an institution of maybe 30 nurses, you precautionary transfer 5. The 5 that you've pushed out of the hospital will not be replaced. So meaning that you run short of 5. So you are placing more burden on the 25 that remain. So, and you are paying people for sitting at home. So that is just wasteful expenditure that the Auditor General always talks about. Because in the public service, there are a lot of people that have been sitting at home for 4 years, 5 years, getting paid for doing nothing. So this is what we're talking against as a union, to say that we must utilize the resources that we have effectively and give support to the nurses. And we're still saying that we demand an apology from all those that were quick to blame the nurse without any facts on the table. You asked me, why am I so confident in saying that there's nothing wrong that this nurse did? And I was very confident, and I'm still confident, that our person has done nothing. That is why it's difficult for them to charge this nurse. But
is this just your assumptions, Simphiwe? Are you just assuming that because you haven't had correspondence, with your 60 days, that it automatically means that there's nothing to be proven?
Look, before the nurse was suspended, the main reason that they used was to say there was prima facie evidence that they relied on. The preliminary investigation indicated that they should take these steps that they've taken. Now, meaning that by then, when the nurse was suspended, the investigation had already begun. Now, an incident that appears on a video, as all of us have seen, what complexity exists for them not to charge? So it's not an assumption, because for us, this was a clear case that they should have, because there were statements that were written, go through the statements, investigate, charge. So, and the other question that you are asking, that why did we not, for instance, remind the department? It is not our duty to remind the department. This resolution that I'm referring to, which is Resolution 1 of 2003, the annexure, is signed by the unions, signed by the state as the employer. So they know the resolution. It's not for us to induct them on the resolution. So they know it. So they know that they should have done this thing within 30 days, not even within 60 days. Do this thing, because what the resolution further says, that if you then realize that the matter is complex, it is only the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing or the presiding officer that can decide on any further postponements on the matter. As we are seated here, as an organization, DENOSA, we don't have the report. 2, there are no charges that have been preferred against our member. So if maybe they wanted to extend these 60 days, there is no presiding officer that has been appointed to deal with the matter. So they cannot automatically extend. They will be contravening the same resolution. So as things stand, the member was suspended on the 2nd. Today is the 6th. So it's more than 60 days. What is it that they can possibly do now? Because they are outside that 60 days. So the only message that we will want to send to the Minister of Health as well as the MSA is that they must not jump the gun. They must draw lessons from this issue. In fact, We were pleased with the initial response of the MEC when this matter came to the fore, because he was not quick to judge. We don't know what then happened at a later stage. When the member was being served with a letter, we were told that it's a clear instruction that comes from the MEC. So they should then draw lessons and respect the labor laws that are in this country and the resolutions that are before our collective bargaining councils, because they are party to them. So they should not be the ones that are breaking these laws. And they must apologize to the nursing fraternity for what they've done.
Let's now move to talking about today. Has the nurse returned to resume duties as per normal?
In fact, just before I came live on air, we were phoned by our shop steward that because now the labor relations officer realizes that he slept on the job, he now wants to be technical and start to exclude public holidays. There was only one public holiday, by the way, even if we were to count the 60 days and today. You take out the 17th of June, which was on a Monday, because the 16th was on a Sunday. So even if you exclude that public holiday, it's still beyond the 60 days. Now, he then moves on to say the weekends. The resolution is clear. If we wanted to count out the weekends, the resolution was going to say it's 60 days excluding weekends and public holidays. So the resolution is saying it's 60 days. It does not say 60 working days. So that man must go back to school and, be assisted to interpret.
So what happens to your nurse now?
Our nurse goes back and should be integrated back into the system. Must work, life must go on.
Lastly, before we let you go, Simphiwe, you speak about throwing stones at nurses, and the nurses we know don't enjoy a good public image. And we've heard the government officials, MEC of Health, as well as the minister, speaking about the low morale that needs to be seriously looked at when it comes to all health workers. What is your opinion on that?
In fact, as an organization, there's a program that is driven by the Gauteng Department of Health, which is called the Employee Value Proposition. We fully support that program because it's a psychological contract with the employees. And we have told the MEC that we support you, we'll work with you, especially on ensuring that we improve the morale of employees. He has been on the roadshow meeting workers across the department. We fully support that because we want employees that are happy, with the department. They find value in working for the department. So we fully support that. When he did all his meetings, we told him that we support him. However, we must also consider that when this incident happened, I think it was only 3 days or 4 days in office. So we'll excuse him and forgive him for that attitude.
Absolutely.
But moving forward, he should be able to then learn to work with us. We work well with him, we support him, and let's make sure that we improve the morale of public servants.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. DENOSA Gauteng Chairperson Simphiwe Gada, they're just really responding to that horrific Mamelodi Hospital incident that was witnessed on social media, with that video going viral, and saying that their nurse will return to duty as normal.